Good morning and welcome back to our second installment of our Fundraising in 5 video series. Fundraising in 5 is a partnership between the Kellogg School Center for Nonprofit Management and CCS Fundraising to discuss best practices in fundraising during the dynamic times created by the COVID-19 pandemic. If you haven't seen our first video on engaged leadership, be sure to check it out on either the Kellogg School Center for Nonprofit Management or CCS Fundraising LinkedIn pages. My name is Elise Madrick-Townsend, and I'm the Senior Program Administrator for the Kellogg School Center for Nonprofit Management, and I'm joined by Lindsay Marcinak, Managing Director of CCS Fundraising. Today, Lindsay and I are discussing opportunities for communicating with your donors and supporters. Lindsay, admittedly, this is a big topic.
It's a huge topic, and I think it's also one that's really easy to jump right into communication in terms of methods and sources and logistics, but it's really important when thinking about communicating during this time to first ensure that you're grounding your key messages in your organization's mission and vision. And then from there, you can adapt messaging to show how your organization is adjusting to the new realities. And because things are changing so fast, it's also helpful to revisit and refresh and update your messages quite frequently.
Lindsay, in addition to updating those messages frequently, it's also necessary to understand your audience and adjust the messages accordingly. How an organization connects with their donors will differ dramatically.
That's right. And when communicating with donors and key constituents, especially during these very dynamic times, the more personalized the communication, the better. So a personal phone call, for example, can really allow you to connect with a donor and adapt the conversation to those donors' needs. And video calls and video conferencing can be another great way to further make a human connection where possible. We're also seeing hold some virtual town halls or other special forums to reach a slightly larger audience, but still in a really personalized way.
And many organizations have inquired how to best communicate during this time without sounding tone deaf. I think one critical point for communication during this time is to focus on empathy with your donors.
That's right. And all the more reason for that personal communication and outreach, because in that personal communication, you can really lead with empathy. You can ask how one of your donors is doing, and really meet them where they are. And from there, you can then move through any updates or other points you'd like to share with them. And if appropriate, outline different opportunities ahead. And if they express an interest, talk about different ways that the organization can utilize that donor's support during this time.
And recognizing that some organizations do have a vast base of donors, I think more mass communication tactics can also complement those personalized approaches. Emails, texts, and social media are all great ways to communicate real-time messages with that wider audience. I think it's also important to balance the purpose and the type of messages conveyed through mass communication. And it's, of course, very important to keep those constituents engaged.
That's right. And when exploring ways that nonprofits are communicating during this time, following CCS's National Survey of Nonprofits in late April, early May, we found that the two most common ways of communicating were personal calls. 78% of respondents are making personal calls, but then also 58% are using social media because of its real-time reach. And that social media outreach, that mass communication, as you said, can be a balanced set of messages about fundraising, advocacy, volunteerism, or other ways to be engaged.
And that's a really helpful context to simply understand the industry trends. So as you all consider your path ahead, we encourage you to refresh your messaging and make sure it's grounded in your mission. Conduct personal outreach with your top donors. And finally, plan your upcoming communications to ensure that there is a variety of updates being presented to your donors. And that's it for this week's Fundraising in 5. Tune in next Monday as we cover ideas on creating a balanced base of donors. Until then, have a great week.